Welcome back to another episode of the best laptop setups. Thank you guys so much for taking the time out of your day to watch this video, and also to the individuals out there who took the time to submit your laptop setups. Now, if you're enjoying this series, make sure to hit the like button, make sure to subscribe so that it lets the algorithm know that you're enjoying this content and so that I can continue making more videos like this. The first setup comes from Koala, and he is from Saudi Arabia. He's a 23-year-old student, and he loves to game casually. He's into digital art, he streams art, he's a web developer and a UI designer. And I'm really digging the clean look of this because he has a lot of basic stuff, but it still looks so classy. He's using a Asus TUF FX 505 with 16 gigabytes of RAM, a Ryzen 7 3750H, obviously there's no Thunderbolt. He has a cooling fan attached to the side of the laptop. I'm not sure how effective it is, considering the laptop's already in a vertical position. His mouse is a Logitech G305 gaming mouse, which I personally love because it's super portable. He has a Logitech Z407 speakers, a Razer Kraken X Lite for his headset, an Xbox gamepad, and he's rocking a SK64 keyboard with brown switches. Now this setup is so clean, right? Like he has these two IKEA Alex drawers, and then he has a custom white tabletop on top of it to complete the entire setup. Just even like the little things, you know? The monitor works perfectly. It's big enough that he doesn't need to leave his laptop display open, and there's enough space on his desk to place everything. He even has a little stand for his Xbox controller, which I think looks sweet. And he mounts his headphones directly under the table, so it doesn't get in the way and it doesn't look like it's being left all over the place. His cable management looks exceptional. He does have one big wire going down the middle to connect the subwoofer, which I guess is kind of expected, but I think he could have routed it along the table and behind the drawer and then across the floor, and that would have made that cable look much more pleasing. Now the cool thing is the little details, right? Like when the lights are on, it just looks like a nice clean setup, right? The plant's there, it gives the entire setup some life. You have your white lamp if you need extra light, and then if you reflect it off the actual plant, it gives it some character. But as soon as you shut off the lights and turn on the RGB, the vibe completely changes. The second setup comes from Garrett. He is an engineering student with about 1 year left to complete, and I love the look of this. It's simple, it's clean, and has a richness to it. The crazy thing is a lot of the stuff on his desk is not super expensive, and I love that because if you can make your setup look good on a budget, that's even better. And he's using a Dell XPS 13 9300, which is probably the most expensive thing, and it's an i7 10th gen processor with 16 gigabytes of RAM and a 1 terabyte NVMe SSD. Now he opted for the full HD model, and that's smart because he's not using the display unless he's on the go, right? And he has it connected to a big enough monitor. Like this LG 29-inch ultra-wide is more than enough space. Like why use a tiny laptop display as a second display when you don't need to? It just takes up extra space that you don't have on your desk. He has a Logitech K350 Wave wireless keyboard. This is a super old keyboard, but I know a lot of people still love this. And his wireless mouse is a Logitech G602. Now the desk is from Amazon. It's called the QB desk with shelves, and it has this walnut top, or at least it looks like walnut, and I think it looks really classy. The shelves add extra height, giving him more space to place items like his pen and his paper, and hide extra cables from his phone. Now I gotta commend him. He did such a fantastic job with this cable management. Instead of having like wires all coming out of the laptop, he has one cable going from the laptop to a pluggable dock, and everything connects directly into the back of it. If you look at the back of this desk, everything is completely cable tied and perfect. And like the actual power brick and the rest of the adapters are inside of a Kenberry cable management box. Now this is important for him because if you look at the placement of his desk, it's actually by the front door, right? Like someone comes in the house, the thing they're looking at is the back of the desk. So he needs to have those cables tied up nice, or it's just not going to be visually appealing for when people walk in. The third setup comes from Jet. He is a 29-year-old. He's a writer and entrepreneur. He runs his own branding company and writing service company, and he also has a book review podcast that he does on the side. This man is a busy man, okay? But I love the vibe of this, right? Because he has this kind of library feeling with the wood and the books on the side. And because he's using like different styles of wood and different brightnesses, it just all blends very well. And then like you look outside and you see these beautiful trees, the sunlight and a warm setting. It just plays very nicely. Now I know this is not the most organized setup, it's not the most clean setup, but not everything has to be a white setup, right? With a couple things on the desk. Sometimes a lot of stuff, as long as it's organized well, also feels great. And contrast is super important. Now, this desk, I originally thought it was a standing desk, but it's not. It's using some sort of bamboo tabletop with black legs. He has a hook to house his headphones, which are the Sennheiser HD 400 headphones. And he has this boom pole for his microphone that he uses for his podcasts. Now again, he's not opening up his laptop display because he can. He realizes that his 27-inch Lenovo monitor is more than enough for him to use. Like, why have another display open if it's gonna take up half your desk? The monitor is housed on an arm, which gives the effect as if it's floating. He has it looks like a BenQ light at the top to give him a better reading experience. And then he has everything he needs to run his business. Now there is a cable organizer at the bottom of the table, and he does have a bunch of RGB as well. Like if he turns off the lights, the feeling of this setup completely changes. Like he has a bunch of Philips Hue sticks on the back. He has a lot of his cables tied to the back of the monitor so it doesn't dangle everywhere. Now I'll be honest, the cable management could be better, right? Like it could, but it's not the worst, right? Even though you see it seeping out a bit, it's still pretty tidy considering how many cables he has in this setup. Now I do have one question, Jet. You know, I noticed you're staring into the home of someone else. I really hope it's a hot girl or guy if that's your thing, because it would suck if you were staring at an old lady. And the final setup comes from Vittorio. He's also from Canada, like myself, British Columbia to be exact. And he looks like he's really into gaming, he's into finance, crypto, the whole shebang. And this setup caught my attention because of the 3 monitors. Like who needs that many monitors except for someone who's into finance? Now, he did something different, right? Like you would think with 3 monitors, you'd put it on a monitor arm and they would just hang and float above the desk. But he did something kind of cool and it gave him more storage to go with it. He's actually housing all 3 monitors on these little shelves that have glass tops, right? And it gives the effect that they're still kind of floating because it looks like he changed the monitor stand from its original plastic one to a glass stand, right? And that just kind of makes it look like it's floating unless you're looking directly at it. Now this setup is all being powered by an Alienware 13 and it's connected to a graphics amplifier which is housing a GTX 980. The only thing I don't like is the fact that he still has the laptop there. Like you have 3 monitors. Like what's the point of having the laptop on your desk? Like, this is something I would have took off, put it somewhere on the side or housed it underneath the desk on a cable tray. Now I'm not sure what type of desk this is. It's probably from IKEA, but it's a corner desk. It's white, it matches the chair that he's using, but I love the speakers, right? These Harman Kardon sound sticks have been out forever and they still sound pretty good. So if you still have them lying in a box somewhere, hook them up to your computer because the sound is pretty good for a desktop setup. So that wraps up today's best laptop setup video. I know I forgot to announce a prize earlier, so I'm just gonna give the winner a $50 Amazon card. Make sure to vote on our Discord server for your favorite setup. And again, thank you so much for watching. Like the video if you liked it, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys in the next one.